Ever since I was a kid, I've always known only what I guess we can call modern medicine. Now, I often talk about the importance of adopting a more holistic approach to health. But I guess maybe the right word would be a return to a more holistic approach. Because yes, there were the days when it was all about herbs and natural healing, like letting a fever run its course. So how did things change? This is what we'll look into today. Because knowing our history helps a lot to understand why things are the way they are today. So imagine a world where our go-to prescription is sunlight, bone broth, herbs from the garden, and good sleep. That was actually normal in the old days. Until one report, 1 century ago, slammed the brakes on traditional care and turned the steering wheel towards lab coats, lectures, and later, a whole lot of pills. This is the story of how our medicine changed. So close your eyes for a second and imagine this. It's the late 1800s. Communities lean on midwives, herbalists, homeopaths, healers who blend botanical remedies with anatomy and hands-on care. The town apothecary, which was like a herbalist and a pharmacist all in one person, smells like peppermint oil and camphor, not antiseptic. Surgeons exist, yes, but so does the local healer who knows which bark eases cramps and which tea helps with sleep. This wasn't fantasy. It was like a pluralistic medical marketplace. Regular allopathic physicians, the more modern type, they were just one voice among many, and they weren't thrilled about sharing their patients, so they started to discredit the old ways of healing. The American Medical Association, AMA, founded in 1847, even adopted ethics language that discouraged working with so-called irregular practitioners. This was only the beginning of a much bigger fight. As cities grew and science advanced, a new class of reformers wanted medicine standardized. Better anatomy, proper labs, admission standards, that's what they wanted. The AMA's Council on Medical Education pushed for a sweeping review of schools. Enter Abraham Flexner, an educator recruited by the Carnegie Foundation to inspect 155 medical schools across the US and Canada. In 1910, he delivered a report called the Medical Education in the United States and Canada, now famous as the Flexner Report. Flexner didn't mince his words. He blasted schools that didn't have labs, clinical training, or university backing. Many schools termed sectarian, homeopathic, eclectic, naturopathic, they were judged substandard. The report demanded strict allegiance to laboratory science. And overnight, one big tent, medicine, became one narrow doorway. To give you a better idea, imagine Flexner as the world's strictest restaurant critic. He shuts down 89 cafes, recommends 2 with what he deems to be proper kitchens. We'll get to that number in a second. The consequences were immediate and huge. In the decade after the report, dozens of schools closed, 89 closures from the pre-report landscape. Training consolidated into fewer university-affiliated programs. On paper, quality improved, but other doors slammed shut. Schools that once taught botanical or homeopathic approaches disappeared. Women's and especially black medical schools were decimated. 5 out of 7 historically black medical colleges closed, leaving only Howard and Meharry. And here's a let's talk about peace. After 1910, massive philanthropic money, especially from the Rockefeller General Education Board, flowed to the model that was being popularized: university-based, laboratory-heavy biomedicine. Flexner later joined that very board and helped steer tens of millions of dollars to schools like Johns Hopkins to build research, surgery, pediatrics, and clinical training. Great labs, great hospitals, and a strong pivot towards pharmacology and surgery as default tools. Yes, that meant, in a way, better hygiene and scientific rigor, which definitely saved lives. But the incentive that shaped the system funneled money, prestige, and licensing power toward one model only while starving the others. And that's when the world began to slowly forget about the old ways of healing and the intrinsic intelligence of the body. As biomedicine consolidated, the AMA analyzed, policed the professional boundaries. Its propaganda department published nostrums and Quakery to expose what they termed as frauds. The AMA's Committee on Quakery, during the 1960s to 1970s, targeted chiropractic and other competitors, efforts that ended in the landmark Wilk versus AMA antitrust case. The strategy was clear: elevate one way of thinking and marginalize and discredit the rest. And long before that, the AMA's famous consultation clause discouraged physicians from collaborating with irregulars, leading holistic practitioners to lose referrals and legitimacy. Ultimately, we gained standardization, peer review, and a more scientific baseline. But, and that's a big but for me, we lost easy access to community midwives, herbal traditions, nutrition, literacy, prevention culture, and a medical education that respected vitalism and the body's self-healing intelligence. Alternative healing didn't disappear, but it was pushed to the margins, often without fair trials or research funding. Fast forward to us today. Why do clinicians get only minimal nutrition training? Why is sunlight, sleep, grounding, and stress work often afterthoughts next to prescriptions? Because, simply put, the pipeline that was built after 1910 trained generations to value what labs could measure and budgeted for what hospitals could bill. So it had less to do with actual healing and a lot more to do with politics, money, greed, status, a skewed vision, or whatever else you want to call it. To be clear, I'm not suggesting that we should throw out modern medicine completely now. It definitely has its place, especially for treating injuries, but it is doing so much more harm than good for basically every type of illness that we have today. So I think what we need to do is rebalance it. We have to bring back what our ancestors knew, like focus on sunlight, sleep, movement, real food, breath, community, walking barefoot on the ground. The more so given that there is more and more scientific evidence to back all of these. I'm glad Kennedy is trying to bring some change within the US health system right now. Getting physicians to study nutrition is a good thing, but I hope one day they will also be studying energy and the body's inherent intelligence instead of trying to inhibit its processes like most modern medication does today. So anyway, our health history didn't have to go this way, but it did. A century ago, one report favored a single model of medicine. While it brought some rigor, it also narrowed what counts as healing. But now it's on us to write the next chapter. And it could be science with soul, prevention with compassion, technology with a deeper understanding of what health really means. If this history clicked, please subscribe. Let's keep exploring how we can blend the best of both worlds, without dogma and with love for our body's wisdom. Thank you.